Hey, how's it going everyone? My name is True Underdog, and today we have a full character guide for Adult Gohan. Now before we get started, a word of warning. Adult Gohan is a complicated character, so if you just started playing then he might not be the character for you, since playing him requires an in-depth understanding of the game's mechanics. And that's mainly because Gohan actually breaks the rules, and of course you have to understand the rules before you can break them. Okay, so with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and break him down step by step. Let's begin with his unique attacks. First on our list is the Ultimate High Kick, which is done by pressing down forward heavy. And when I say that, I don't mean quarter circle forward heavy. I simply mean diagonal down forward and then heavy. This attack's main purpose is to launch the opponent after a crouching medium. As you can see, the opponent's now airborne, so I can jump into the air and get my combo started. And honestly, that's pretty much it for the move, so let's go ahead and move on. Next up, we have his unique Fireball attack, which is done by pressing down and special. This attack has Gohan jumping backwards while firing the Ki Blast. This makes it great for a quick retreat, especially after a block string. But that's not all this move is good for. Since it has good hit stun, it's great for ending corner combos. And keep in mind, you no longer have to press down special in the air, just pressing the special attack by itself will work. And last but not least, we have the Quick Descend attack. This is done by pressing down and special in the air. So it's like the Ki Blast on the ground, except in the air. And this attack allows Gohan to fall to the ground much faster. And this move is great for two main reasons. Reason number one is it allows you to fall from the sky much faster, especially after an air combo. And this of course makes it much easier to combo into Super. However, its second purpose is equally important, and a lot of players overlook it. Being able to go to the ground this fast allows Gohan to do an air 50-50. A lot of players are going to expect a jumping attack, like a jumping heavy attack for example. However, if you're playing Gohan, instead of doing a jumping attack, you can go straight down and then do a standing light attack. And Gohan's standing light attack actually starts off low, so it's very unique in that regard. So you have an air 50-50 on your opponent. You can go in, do a heavy, or jump down and do a light, and it's very, very fast. So it's a tricky block situation for your opponent, especially if you keep mixing things up. Now technically Gohan still has one more unique attack, however it's only available after his level 1 super, so we're going to talk about that later. For now, let's move on to his special moves. First up, we have the Machine Gun Kick. Now unlike every other special move, this one can only be done while in the air, which makes it good for ending air combos, especially if you haven't gotten the chance to level up yet. Now once you do level up, this attack becomes a lot less useful. Not because the move itself gets worse, but because the other special attacks get a lot better. However, even after leveling up, this attack is still great on block strings. After doing a crouching heavy attack, you can actually cancel into this move for good block pressure. Just keep in mind the opponent can blow this up with a down heavy attack, so be careful not to abuse it too much. Now before we move on, let's go ahead and discuss each version. Now the light version has Gohan stay in place, and keep in mind if you hold down the button, he'll continue to kick until he touches the floor. Now the light version does less damage, but the fact that Gohan stays where he is can be very useful. Now the medium version actually scoots Gohan forward a little bit, and actually knocks the opponent off their feet and knocks them back a little bit, so that's an important thing to take note of. The medium version also does more damage if the opponent's cornered. Now the heavy version is where things get interesting. This version does the most damage and leads to a wall bounce, allowing you to extend the combo for more damage. And even though that combo does do good damage, I still recommend saving your meter to level up instead, since that is what makes Gohan the most powerful. Next up we have the Jet Upper. This attack is fully invincible on startup and does decent damage as well, and the light version is actually great for comboing into his super. So if your opponent's trying to pressure you on your back, you can wake up with this and then cancel into super to get a quick level up. The medium version does more damage and knocks the opponent away. Just keep in mind you can't actually combo the second hit into super, it won't reach. However, the medium version is great for starting a vanish combo, so that's very important to take note of. The heavy version is fast and does the most damage. However, if you want my honest opinion, it's never worth the meter. And next up we have Masenko. This attack is your typical beam projectile. It covers the full screen and your opponent can't super dash through it, so it's a pretty good tool for attacking your opponent from afar. However, outside of that, it's not very useful. Also keep in mind it can't be done in the air. You'll just get his standard Ki attack. And last but not least, we have the Ultimate Back Attack. This attack hits overhead, and since Gohan's airborne, it actually beats certain low attacks as well. Now the light version will always end up in front of the opponent. However, what makes the light version very important is that it spikes the opponent at the end of an air combo, so it's your most damaging option for comboing into super. However, the medium version will actually cross up every single time. And notice how the opponent was stuck on the ground for a little bit there? You can actually follow this up with super. Now the timing is a bit tricky, you can't do it immediately after the hit. You have to wait for Gohan himself to actually touch the floor before you cancel into Super, but it's still your perfect chance to level up. Now the heavy version actually does the most damage, but that's not what makes it interesting. Unlike the light and medium version, this attack isn't guaranteed to cross up. If you're far enough away, it'll actually land in front of the opponent, but if you're closer and even right in their face, it will always cross up. So that's a great mix-up, especially if you're far away from the opponent, since now the opponent has to guess if you're going to be in front of them or behind them. Now as you may have already guessed, this attack's main strength is the mix-up factor. Even if the opponent blocks your initial attack string, they still have to guess where you're going to end up. Although do keep in mind the opponent can counter this move with the crouching heavy, and then they won't have to guess, so make sure to use it wisely. That's it for his special attacks, so let's move on to his super moves. Let's begin with his level 3 super, since it's much easier to explain. This super travels across the entire screen and does really good damage, and its overall damage does increase each time you level up. And do keep in mind that leveling up is your top priority, so I don't recommend doing this super unless it kills the opponent, otherwise you're better off leveling up. And next up we have his level 1 super, easily the most complicated thing about this character, so I'm going to do my best to break it down. Now for starters, this super does 3 main things. Firstly, it gives you access to his machine gun punch, which is done by pressing down forward and light attack. And keep in mind you can hold down this move to do more attacks and therefore more damage. This attack is very versatile, but has a major shortcoming. It hits the opponent a lot of times, up to 9 times if you hold it down all the way. And this means that every attack you do afterwards will be heavily scaled as a result. So unless you're fully leveled, I don't recommend doing this move very often. Don't get me wrong, it's a great hit confirm and great for extending combos too, but the damage scaling is still a big factor. Now the next perk is honestly the most important in my opinion. No matter where Gohan is on screen, his ultimate back attack will now teleport to the opponent. So the light version will teleport and hit them in the front. The medium version will teleport and hit them in the back. And that's a great mix-up factor from full screen, but more importantly, it's a great way to punish projectiles from full screen away, even in the air. It's just a great way to punish your opponent in general. But the benefits don't stop there. Since the light version teleports, it's now the best way to end your combos no matter where you are on screen. Before you had to be in the corner if you wanted to spike the opponent, but now you can spike the opponent anywhere on screen. Simply end your combo with a down heavy attack, then use your light version to spike him into the ground. And last but not least, Gohan does more damage and is slightly faster each time he levels up. Not by a huge amount, but more damage and speed is always a good thing. Now before we move on, there is one last important thing to take note of. Instead of doing light plus medium, you can actually do heavy plus special and hold it down. This will spend more than 1 bar of meter, and every bar spent means 1 more level. In fact, you can actually do all 7 levels at once if you have the meter for it. However, keep in mind this super won't combo if you spend more than 5 bars, which is a bit odd, since if I spend 5 bars or fewer, it will still combo on the opponent. But if you spend 6 bars or more, the startup actually increases and therefore it won't combo on the opponent. It's not a huge deal breaker, but still something important to keep in mind. Now you might be wondering what happens when I level up all the way. What could possibly be worth spending 7 bars of meter on a single character? Well, I will tell you. However, it's a bit tough to explain, so make sure to listen closely. If you manage to get Gohan all the way to level 7, he now gains the ability to chain his attacks in any order he wants. So what do I mean by that? Well, normally every character can only increase in strength, right? They have to do light, then medium, then heavy. They can't go backwards if they want to. However, Gohan can once he's at level 7. So I can do medium into light attack. In fact, I can even go heavy into medium if I want to. Now you may be wondering what's the point of all that. I mean, sure, it makes sense in the neutral, right? So I'm right here, I land the medium attack, and I can do light attack for a bit more damage, then do crouching medium, and then launch the opponent. And it's a bit extra damage, but it's not that big of a deal, and I can't really combo after my heavy attack, right? So I can cancel it into medium, but it's not really gonna do anything, so what's the point? And the answer is air combos. Once you have the opponent in the air, you don't have to settle for light, medium, heavy, and then launcher. Instead, you can do light, medium, heavy, and then light a second time, and then launch the opponent, which is a very big deal for combos, especially in the corner, especially since Gohan does crazy damage at level 7. Here are just a few damaging combos that I discovered at level 7, and honestly I'm sure there are more damaging combos out there, so make sure to spend a lot of time in training mode with Gohan. And not just for experimenting with combos, but also mastering the combos themselves, since these combos can honestly be quite challenging, especially if you're new to the game, and I honestly was myself. Alright everyone, that concludes the guide for Gohan. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed and found this guide helpful, please leave a like down below. It really does help my channel out a lot. And while you're down there, feel free to post a comment too. Tell me what you think and please share any tips you have for Gohan. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the bell. That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs!